welcome to the Culture Magazine here on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you for joining me. Today on our program, we'll hear about an Israeli rap opera facing anti-Israeli demonstrations at Edinburgh. Jesse Eisenberg attended the Israeli premiere of his play, Despite the Rockets. And we'll say goodbye to Studio Ghibli and Dick. We begin with This City, an Israeli noir rap opera set to open tomorrow at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Unfortunately, anti-Israeli demonstrations during the show's preview performance last week almost caused its cancellation and forced it to move to a different venue in the city. With me on via Skype from Edinburgh is Arik Eshet, the CEO and artistic director at the Incubator Theatre, who produces the show. Thanks for speaking to us, Arik.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get to the politics of it all, tell me a little bit about the show itself.
The show, it's a rap musical, as you say. It's a detective story inspired by film noir films of the 40s and the 50s. And it's all done as one long song from the beginning to the end in rap and hip-hop.
Okay, doesn't sound very political. What happened in Edinburgh?
In our first preview show at the 30th of July, a few days ago, there was an anti-Israeli demonstration, and they blocked. We were in the Underbelly Theatre, which is in the Bristol Square, in the very center of the festival. Mm-hmm. And they were picketing, holding hands, and they were very loud, of course, and they didn't let the audience come in.
I see.
And the police was quite passive, and we are not the only show there. There were like 14 other shows going on at the same time, on the same area.
Right.
And after the demonstration, the festival told us, not the festival, but the theater that hosts us, the Underbelly, that we won't be able to continue in that venue because it's destroyed. I mean, the demonstration caused a big damage to all the shows around.
Right. So how are you planning to deal with any upcoming protests that might occur?
Right now, we are looking for another venue. I mean, it's not set yet that we are going back.
So
you
might not perform at all?
Yes, because there is a security problem, but there is a lot of people talking, and especially the theater that hosts us. They're really trying. There is a big discussion here now about the freedom of speech in the Edinburgh Festival, because
right.
This festival was founded in 1947 after World War II as a safety place for any expression and
right.
Now it's a precedence. They're going to, if they cancel one show, they will become an arena for gladiators, political gladiators,
right.
instead of a free space and safe space for artists to say to express themselves.
Of course. So how is the festival? How has the festival responded to the protests?
I mean, they were quite intimidated because it was, it's for every protest there is a big loss for them if audiences cannot come into the venues,
right?
And pubs are closed, and they're closing everything with those demonstrations,
right.
But the theater that hosts us is trying very much to find us a different place, and also, I mean, there are voices for us, so
okay.
I hope it will
happen. It's a little more balanced. More in general, how does it feel to be in a festival nowadays with everything that's going on here in Israel?
Oh, it's quite hard because you hear news from home, and it's it's quite disturbing, and I mean it's not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy, and we feel, and politics get here as well. So we came to perform, and we are not performing. We perform in the street.
Well, that also works. There's a lot of.
Meanwhile, we just go on the street. We are insisting to perform here. So if they'll cancel us, we'll keep performing.
Good.
In the streets, on the meadows, anywhere.
A good note to end on, Arik. Although I still hope for you guys you will find a stage to put your show up on. Thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Amid the turmoil and rocket alarms here in Israel these days, actor Jesse Eisenberg recently visited the country to attend the local premiere of a play he's written, The Revisionist. Channel 2 correspondent Jonathan Rieger met the actor to talk about the role he's most recognized with, visiting Israel, and his upcoming role as Lex Luthor.
All the artists canceled the last 2 weeks. You did not. Why?
I have a friend here who I traveled around with for the last week. I understand that, what you see on the news is not a depiction of maybe average life in a country. I've had a very quiet week.
Actor Jesse Eisenberg is famous for his role as Facebook's creator Mark Zuckerberg in the film The Social Network, for which he was nominated for an Oscar.
I believe I deserve some recognition from this board.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Which part?
After the performance, someone in the audience asked a question and called Eisenberg Mark by mistake. This isn't the first time he has been mistaken for Zuckerberg.
Even when a movie is not real or not a documentary, in some ways it's more powerful than the real thing.
Eisenberg arrived in Israel recently for the Israeli premiere of his play, The Revisionist, at the Bet Lesin Theater, starring veteran Israeli actress Liora Rivlin.
יותר טוב לשבת בתוך מה נשאר של פרה מלעוף גבוה ולשיר.
Despite Operation Protective Edge, Eisenberg, who is Jewish, went ahead with his plan to visit Israel for the first time in his life.
Would you feel seeing the play here in Israel at this time especially?
I'm very honored that to be invited to come here to watch this remarkable production, a remarkable cast. Honored as well that the audience should come out, during what's an ongoing and difficult time.
After attending the premiere, Eisenberg flew to London to shoot Batman vs. Superman, in which he plays the role of the villain, Lex Luthor.
It's a wonderful opportunity and a great part, and of course there's an Israeli actress in it, Gal Gadot, she plays Wonder Woman. And
how is Wonder Woman?
We've yet to. I cannot reveal anything about the movie, of course, but she's a very nice actress.
Now, K-pop, or Korean pop, is a musical genre that's hugely successful in Asia and is quickly taking over other parts of the world with millions of adoring fans. The bands, usually comprised of a number of good-looking young men or young women, are assembled by music and marketing executives. But what does it take to make it as a K-pop band? Let's find out.
Every morning at 6, these girls receive the morning call to start their 16-hour day. They're a new Korean girl band named Billion. Sharing 2 bedrooms, there's no glamour yet for these wannabe celebrities.
We believe that by working hard, we will be able to achieve our goal in a few years.
After several hours working out, they spend the rest of the day practicing singing, and even more importantly, honing their dance moves. Holidays are rare and there's little time for relationships. None of the group has a boyfriend. Their managers run their lives. When they wake up, what they do, when and what they eat, and when they go to bed. And in the world of K-pop, looks are everything.
Dinner is similar to the lunch menu. It consists of salad, fruits, and eggs.
We spend 2 to 3 hours to put on our makeup, so we look pretty in front of our fans.
K-pop has been criticized by some for its production line mentality, crunching out similar sounding, similar looking, similar moving groups, packaged to the hilt. The hunt for talent is very competitive, and agencies often start recruiting kids as young as 13. Costs vary, but launching a band, from creation to debut album, can mean an outlay of anywhere between $500,000 and $1 million. The girls have been together for 2 years, but only had their debut album in March. They are not yet demoralized by low-profile gigs like this, even with a car park as a dressing room and just 10 minutes on stage.
I think I had mixed emotions. I was very flattered and excited. Once I got off stage, I already missed being on stage.
It's close to midnight, but the day still hasn't finished. The girls are back to studio for more rehearsals. Every day counts, because for every headlining boy and girl group, there are more struggling to make their breakthrough.
I know what I want to be when I grow up. Now, Avril Zentzvi is joining me here in the studio for some latest cinema news, and we're going to start off. It's sad.
We have a few sad stories today. It's the end of an era on a few fronts, but we'll start with Studio Ghibli, one of my favorite animation houses in the history of the world, who announced in the last few days that it is closing down following Miyazaki's retirement.
Miyazaki, the master director.
The master director.
And the head of Studio Ghibli.
He is the head of Studio Ghibli, and he wasn't the only director in the studio, but he was the inspiration, he was the life of the party there, and he really was the one who gave it its spirit.
Yeah, it was the sort of an extension of him, really.
It really was. And so producer Toshio Suzuki appeared on television in Japan, which starts to show you how important it is, how big the studio is there. He appeared to announce that they are closing the studio.
So
they don't quite word it.
Thing down? I mean, that's it?
Not exactly. Well, the studio is sort of winding down. They're right now closing production, and there's going to be only a few people who will stay there to manage the brand. They have, its assets are worth close to $15 billion, I think. They have...
They had a few big successes.
They had very big successes. They were very important in Japanese cinema. Between, I think, 1989 and 1995, almost every year, they topped themselves as the highest grossing films in the history of Japan. Right. But now what happened was, Miyazaki was a very socialist person from the beginning of his career. Right. And he kept all of his animators and crew on staff, which nobody did. And so the studio cost to run about $20 million a year before we're talking about the pictures. And so a Miyazaki picture would bring in $150 million. And the last picture they released right now, which is not a Miyazaki picture, after him, when Marnie was there, is set to bring about $36 million, which is good for a movie, but they can't quite support it. So right now, they're winding down, and they're going to check what they're going to do. But we're also saying goodbye to another
that's a more definite
icon.
Goodbye.
Yeah, to another icon, Dick Smith. He was sort of, when you talk about a makeup artist in Hollywood, that's who you're talking about. He started at the age of 19, and he was entirely self-taught, and he really set the standard.
And he's been in some. I mean, everybody knows his work.
Everybody knows his work, and actually the methods that he works in are now the methods that they use. Yeah. Well, he was the one who did Brando in The Godfather. He made him older. He really specialized in old age makeup. Right. He did Salieri in Mozart. He made Murray Abrahams.
These were the first movies one can say that it was done right. I mean, before that it was like just painting the hair white, and that's about it.
There are like two big things that you can say about him. The first was that he pioneered techniques, because when he started working, they just used to make one sort of face appliance, they call it, out of latex,
Right.
and that wouldn't give a lot of movement. And he started casting it in different parts
pieces, right.
that would give it more movement and more life. But the second great thing about him is that he says, when I went into the industry, everyone was secretive. They each had their own techniques and nobody shared. And he really shared information. You know, he wasn't secretive. He told everyone how he did it. It was the beginning of the age of the documentary, the behind the scenes documentary. And
He always played along.
He always played along, and he always kept his number listed. If you were a kid in Idaho or a kid in France and you saw something and you wanted to ask a question about how to do a makeup, how to do something, you could find him listed and you could call him, and day and night he would answer the phone to everyone who wanted to know.
That is a lovely notion. Let's hope that there are more people like him in the industry.
Well, Rick Baker is his sort of protege and continues his way. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Avli, for speaking to us about this. Very interesting. We're done for today. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow for another edition of Culture. We'll be here.